First pitch swing. In the air. Luis Robert makes the catch. And in a year when so many of us have had to be apart, we all will journey together into October with the White Sox for the first time in 12 years. The Sox are going to the playoffs.
We're call courtesy of NBC Sports Chicago, the voice of Jason Benetti, television broadcaster for the White Sox and ESPN, joining us here on Halftime. Jason, I really appreciate you coming on with us, especially, I was about to say pennant race, but I don't think there are pennant races much these days. How are you doing?
Good. The White Sox clinched earlier than anybody could ever have expected. So life has been good in Chicago. How you all doing?
We're doing all right. We're doing really well. We've got college football season starting next Saturday. I keep getting excited when the Pirates lose. They found a way to win yesterday, though. But, I mean, you've got to be fired up with this White Sox team because I think some people might have seen a big improvement this year. I'm not sure if they would have expected this team to, with less than 2 weeks with the regular season going, that they would have the best record in the American League. Has this been a little early arrival, you think, for the White Sox, this irregular season?
I think so. I think even maybe to the front office's understanding and comprehension of what this team could do. But I do think, I mean, if people have watched, this is one of the most fun teams in Major League Baseball, not only this year, but in years. I mean, they are a joy to watch every night. They enjoy each other. There's a great camaraderie. Your guy, James McCann, with his partner, Lucas Giolito, in battery, throwing the no-hitter. Like, there is a wonder about this team because they're so young. They're so vivid of personality. And to me, it is early, but I also think they were well-equipped for 60 games. When you have a big offense, you can kind of outslug people, and that's all well and good. But the starting rotation with some off days mixed in, they've been able to go basically 4.5 at times, and they've been able to patch some holes with Gio Gonzalez, the long man out of the bullpen, Ross Detweiler. It's a team well-equipped for 60 games. But, yeah, I mean, this brings so much confidence for the future for this franchise.
I mean, you mentioned the pitching here, and you get such young pitchers, too, guys like Dane Dunning or Cease or forget the name of the kid that made his first start last weekend and credited James McCann. I want to ask about the effect of the catching position on the success of White Sox pitchers this year, because I mean, it's almost like Yasmani and James fly under the radar because the White Sox are talked about as having like 6 MVP candidates. None of them are Grandal or McCann. Yet, when you look at their production at the plate and how they've handled this pitching staff, I'm not sure if I find a more valuable position on the White Sox than the 2 catchers. You might have the best catching tandem in all of baseball.
I agree. I do think it's the best catching pair in baseball, and that's just because Real Muto has not had a magnificent backup in Philadelphia. It's been a little bit of a rotating deal, but James and Yasmani have been awesome. And Yasmani sees a lot of pitches, so he brings a different variable to the lineup, which will strike out certainly, but he's a different type of hitter. And then you get McCann, who, I mean, he's talked with me pretty expansively about his time at Arkansas and how he became a catcher. He recalls waking up at like 6, 7 in the morning, going to practice and just catching hundreds upon hundreds of baseballs and learning what it takes to actually invest in pitchers and invest in the catching position. And so when he came to the Sox, you get a guy who knows how to invest in pitchers and just needed the offense. Like the Tigers absolutely would have kept him if the offense was anywhere close to what we're seeing with the Sox. So the Sox got a huge benefit from his last year offensively in Detroit, especially not being very good. And you see what he and Grandal do together in terms of knowing opponents and knowing their pitchers. It's a pretty awesome thing. Like I agree with you. It's a great point that people are not talking about enough. But if you don't have a great catching spot, this pitching staff isn't even close to what it is.
Speaking to Jason Benetti here on halftime of the Chicago White Sox, Jason, when you glance in the crystal ball with the White Sox making the playoffs, like we mentioned in the beginning part, first time in 12 years making the playoffs. If you glance in the crystal ball, it really stinks that with the proposed MLB playoff bubble, none of these playoffs games are going to get to happen in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, the hope is that the first round you'll get to play like a couple of games in the 1 versus 4. The hope is, I mean, but again, like that's the proposal, and it may change. You know, like 2020. Like I don't know what I'm having for lunch, and I'm not even going to guess for 20 minutes before lunch. So like I don't. Who knows, right? But for me, there is pain for knowing that White Sox fans who literally like. They've been going around the city since 2017 saying, like, you just wait until a couple years from now, and telling, like, Cub people and neutral people and Hawks fans and Bulls fans who aren't Sox fans, like, you just wait to see what's coming. And now they're all having to be inside watching the game on TV, which, like, I'm honored that we're the way to bring them the game, but I wish they could be in the ballpark. Like, I was talking with a couple people internally with the White Sox yesterday. Like, can you imagine a team that hadn't made the playoffs in 12 years? It's a beautiful Thursday afternoon. Nobody would have been at work. Like, the productivity in Chicago would have plummeted because everybody would have been there for the clincher yesterday. And they do it in late rally, 7th inning. Like, it was a pretty electric atmosphere, and there was nobody there. But what's amazing about baseball this year is you can tell the series that really, really matter because the dugouts are louder. Like Miguel Sano hit a ball the other day, and when he hit it, it was like wailing coming from the Minnesota dugout because they knew he got it. And I can feel it from upstairs how much they care about these games. And I honestly, like, it kind of feels like watching guys play in the backyard, which has been pretty oddly awesome.
I think if we just let's just put a hat on here for a second, pretend nothing's happening, or this very well could happen. But let's just imagine the Cubs and the White Sox both make it to the World Series. Oh. What? I mean, under normal circumstances, the city of Chicago would probably melt down with the Cubs and the White Sox in the World Series. But obviously, the World Series, like we mentioned, the proposals at Globe Life Field down in Arlington, Texas. But even still, if that were to happen, what would the city of Chicago be like right now with the Cubs and the White Sox potentially in a World Series matchup?
I know. Like, as you were saying that, I was just laughing at myself because who knows what would break out and break loose. But I will say that if you place an order on Grubhub during one of those games, I bet they'd tell you, like, nope, there are too many people ordering. You can't have anything. Sorry about it. Like, cook at home. Like Uber Eats would be like, you
pizza.
Can cook. Yeah, you can cook tonight. Motivate yourself because we're not getting you a burger. It would be amazing. I mean, there would be, I'm sure people would have like lawn signs and like mark their own territory and like driving around with flags in their cars. I don't know how people would celebrate and like show their allegiances, but I guarantee you, like, half the city would have blue flags and half the city would have black flags. Like I'm super interested in what that would look like. But I do know that there would be a lot of people on a lot of Zoom calls talking a lot of smack and like group text talking a lot of smack. I would be asking people on Twitter to send like their smack talk to me in picture form from their group chat.
That's fantastic.
From your lips to God's ears is all I have to say here, Jason, because that's what I'm rooting for. Although, we here in Arkansas might like to see Arkansas South, the Miami Marlins, against Arkansas North in the Chicago White Sox. Now, you got Keuchel and McCann there. Those are two of the best to ever come out of this program. Now, you mentioned you've spoken to McCann about his time at Arkansas. Have either of those two spoken to you about what the program is like for them, what it means to them? I mean, I remember meeting you at a Razorback game. I forget the site. You were doing a broadcast with Ben McDonald. So you've watched Arkansas baseball up close. When you're talking with two of the best major leaguers to ever come from that program, what do they say about Razorback baseball?
Well, I mean, what they say is that they love the program. I mean, I've talked about, obviously, about James and his learning there, but Dallas Keuchel and James McCann formed a friendship at Arkansas. Like, what they say, I think, even takes a backseat, and they love the program. It's very clear they love the program, but they forged a bond that now 11, 12 years down the road is putting them both in the playoffs together. Like Dallas Keuchel, from what I understand, in college, like helped give James McCann the nickname McCannon, which is like part of his social media now. So they met at Arkansas, and they have this long-standing friendship. And honestly, if you don't like your coaches and you don't like your team, you're not going to have these long-lasting friendships. Like, it's going to be a bad situation. And very clearly, it's not. Like, they loved their time there and learned a ton from being there. And I have to say, I wish pre-pandemic I had made one more trip to Fayetteville, because I had one basketball game a couple years ago. Dallin Cup and I did an Arkansas basketball game on like a Tuesday night. I got into town. I was like, all right, I'm going to go find a great place to have dinner. And I got the flu like on the way to Fayetteville. So I spent like 36 hours in a hotel room and just chugged a lot of Gatorade, went and did the game. And I'm sure your fans are like, oh, he was the guy that sounded like he was dying while he was doing that game. I remember him. So I need another trip to Fayetteville. Like, we need to make this happen, because I enjoyed what I got to see, which was like 30 minutes worth of a drive down the road from the airport, and then the rest was a hotel room. So I want to go back. I want to learn about what James and Dallas have seen. So we need to make that happen. I also like the large chessboard in the airport.
Yeah. All right. Well, then, so March, once college baseball season's in full swing and the SEC network is showing SEC games, we're going to get you on the schedule to come here for like Arkansas versus, I don't know what the schedule's going to look like next year. I think we get Ole Miss. Maybe one of those ones. But here, I want to play one thing from yesterday's game. I was texting you about it after the game. This is something I couldn't even imagine would have ever happened. But it ended up being, I think, a huge factor in the White Sox comeback win yesterday over the Minnesota Twins. We have a segment that we have to now call it the Alexander Dumas of the week, because we're not allowed to say the other word. But it's Josh Donaldson for this.
Another home run, 106.6 miles an hour, and
oh yeah, Josh Donaldson just kicked dirt as he came across the plate, and Dan Bellino ran him on the way by. He kicked.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen a ball player do, and it might have cost his team big time in the very next inning. You've never seen something like that, have you?
No. So no, I have not. The only thing I can compare this to, and you can Google it and find it, when I was in AAA, Quentin Berry was playing for the Norfolk Tides. Quentin Berry ended up playing for the Tigers a little bit. He played for the Orioles a little bit. And he was mad at an umpire about something and, like, ran around the bases and slid into home needlessly just in protest of a call, and was just, like, making a big old fool of himself. But he didn't, like, kick anything at the umpire. Like, this is actually on a home run by Donaldson in an actual game that can affect directly your division standings, and directly, like, the Sox won the tiebreaker over Minnesota with that win yesterday. So that counts for 2 wins. I've never seen anything in that important of a game like that. And then Donaldson was playing third, and in the 7th inning, Jose Abreu, like you're talking about, hits a ground ball to the left side of the infield that Donaldson, who's a pretty frisky third baseman, I imagine might have cut off. It got to the shortstop instead, and then Abreu beats it out and ties the game. It's ridiculous. And honestly, Dan Bellino is a really good umpire who doesn't, like, needlessly insert ego into it. And if you watch the way Dan reacted to it, he just basically stood his ground and said, get out of here. He didn't make a big deal of it. I was shocked because, there are umpires who give it back to people and umpires who insert ego into it. Dan Bellino is one of the guys in Major League Baseball who never does that. And Josh Donaldson, like, he had 4 bases worth to let his emotion out. And then he does something like that. I mean, thanks, but a really bad idea. He is definitely the Alexander Dumas of the week.
Yeah, or the Count of Monte Cristo or something like that. And I'll say this before, as we let you go. I remember Donaldson in the Texas League. That typifies him, and that really says a lot about why a former MVP has played for how many teams now? That's fairly typical, I think. Jason, before I let you go too, and I know I've said this on our show, you and Steve Stone are terrific together on the NBC Chicago sports telecast. You just do great work. I really enjoy it. And you guys are my team since the Pirates stink, so I'm going to root for the White Sox the rest of the way. Thanks for your time today.
Hey, love it. And thank you for saying that, Phil. Really appreciate it. And you all have a great day.
It's Jason Benetti from the Chicago White Sox telecast, ESPN2. And, we got to get Jason back here to Fayetteville when he's healthy. Yeah, you got it. Fayetteville is a city that, nowhere's a lot of fun to just sit in a hotel room, sweating through your sheets, drinking Gatorade to get ready for a basketball game. Hey, if you're going out this weekend in the River Valley, make sure to check out 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge in the Fort. They're open until 1 tonight and tomorrow. Live music, great food. You see all the new menu items at their Facebook page. Just search for 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge, and you'll see it right there. They abide by all the social distancing guidelines, have a state-of-the-art airflow system. You will have nothing but the freshest environment indoors at 906 Cocktail and Cigar Lounge, 906 Garrison Avenue, downtown in the Fort. And halftime is right back.